Nnenna sat outside her small hut, staring at the dirt road that stretched toward the horizon. The sun was beginning to set, casting a golden glow over the village, yet she felt no warmth. She had lost count of how many evenings she had spent like this, watching, waiting, hoping. Her husband, Chijioke, had left for the city 3 years ago, with big dreams and even bigger promises. He swore he would return once he had made something of himself, once he could provide a better life for her. At first, the letters came frequently, filled with stories of his struggles and ambitions. Then they became fewer, and now they had stopped completely. At first, Nnenna had told herself that it was just a phase, that city life was busy and demanding. But deep down, a fear she did not want to name began to grow in her heart. What if Chijioke had moved on? What if he was never coming back? Nnenna had been just 18 when she married Chijioke. Their love was young and full of dreams. The village gossips had said they were inseparable, two souls destined for each other. Even when times were hard, they found joy in the simplest things, laughing as they fetched water from the stream, whispering under the mango tree, sharing roasted corn by the fire. But poverty was a heavy burden. Chijioke's farm yielded little, and each year seemed harder than the last. One day he made up his mind. He would go to Lagos, the land of opportunities. He had heard stories of men who left with nothing but returned with wealth and honor. "I will make you proud, my love," he had said, cupping her face in his rough hands. "Just wait for me." And she had waited. The first year was bearable. She found comfort in his letters, in the way he described the noisy streets, the towering buildings, and his endless determination. The second year was harder. His words became fewer, and when they came, they felt distant, like a man speaking from another world. By the third year, silence became her only companion. Villagers whispered. Some said he had found another woman in the city. Others said he had forgotten where he came from. A few, like her old mother, tried to reassure her. "Be patient, my daughter. Men are like that. When he has made it, he will remember you." But how much longer could she wait? One evening, as she pounded yam outside, her childhood friend Amaka came to visit. Amaka had married a wealthy palm wine trader and now lived comfortably. She looked at Nnenna with pity. "Nnenna, you are still young. Don't waste your life waiting for a man who may never return." "I believe in my husband," Nnenna replied, though her voice lacked conviction. "Belief does not fill an empty stomach," Amaka said softly. "At least write to him. If he does not reply, then you will have your answer." That night, Nnenna sat by the dim lantern light, pouring her heart into a letter. She asked him if he was well, if he still remembered her, if he still loved her. She sent the letter with the village postman, who promised to deliver it to a relative in Lagos. And then she waited again. Truth comes like a storm. 2 months passed, no reply. Then one fateful afternoon, a trader returned from the city with news. "I saw Chijioke in Lagos," the man said. "He lives in a fine house with a fine woman by his side. He has forgotten this village." The words struck Nnenna like thunder. "No, that's not possible," she whispered. "Open your eyes, Nnenna. If he wanted to return, he would have done so long ago." The villagers now had confirmation for their gossip. Some looked at her with sympathy, others with scorn. "She is a fool," they whispered. "She has wasted her youth." But the worst part was not their words. It was the realization that they might be right. For the first time in years, Nnenna felt something inside her break. She walked into her hut and sat in the darkness, tears streaming down her face. Hope had kept her going, but now hope was gone. Days passed. Nnenna did not leave her hut. She did not eat. She did not care. Then on the 4th morning, she heard a knock. It was her mother. "Nnenna, my child, how long will you mourn a man who has already moved on?" "I don't know how to stop," she whispered. "Then learn," her mother said firmly. "You are still alive. Your story is not over." Her mother's words planted a seed in her heart, and slowly something changed. She started by going to the farm again. The earth at least was faithful. It yielded to her hands, offering cassava, maize, and groundnuts. Then she started selling in the market. At first it was just a few tubers of yam, but soon people sought her out for her produce. Months passed, and the sorrow in her eyes began to fade. She no longer waited by the road. She no longer listened to the whispers of the villagers. She was writing a new chapter. A year later, when the Harmattan winds blew through the village, a man arrived. It was Chijioke. His clothes were fine, but his face was tired. He walked through the village like a stranger. People stared, some in awe, others in judgment. When he reached Nnenna's hut, she was sitting outside peeling cassava. She looked up, their eyes meeting for the first time in years. "Nnenna," he began. She did not reply. "I made mistakes," he said. "I was blinded by the city, by wealth, by things that did not matter." Still, she was silent. "I came back because I realized that none of it meant anything without you." A long silence stretched between them. Then, Nnenna let out a soft laugh, not of joy, but of realization. "You came back," she said, shaking her head, "but I am not the woman who waited for you." Took a step closer. "Can we start again?" Nnenna stood up, dusting her hands. "No," she said simply. "You were my past, Chijioke. I have found my future." And with that, she walked away, leaving behind the man who once held her heart, but no longer had a place in it. For the first time in years, she felt free. Nnenna's story is one of resilience, of a woman who learned that love should not be begged for, and that when hope fades, something stronger must take its place: self-worth, determination, and the courage to move forward. Because sometimes what comes next is better than what was lost.